Hello, welcome to next session or next video, which is part of short course on research methodology, and the title of this session is persons involved. So whenever you are doing research or PhD, there are many persons who get involved actually, including yourself, your family members, your children, your colleagues, and also some anonymous people also play some important role. But there are particularly three persons who are very important whenever you are doing the research work or even PhD. The first person is yourself. You are the main person. In fact, 80% of the success or failure responsibility of your work is with you only. And then your supervisor who is guiding you, and then the examiner. So examiner can be the examiner who evaluates your thesis or who conducts the project viva voice, or it can be the peer reviewers, people who evaluate your publications. They are also important. So all these people will be treated as examiner as far as this session is concerned. This is very short session only. So coming to you, students. So let me call you a student or research scholar. So what you have to do? Actually, keep systematic record of work. You have to always keep systematic record of the work. So though it is quite obvious, you may think it is quite obvious. Of course, it is obvious, but 80% of the people don't do it. So always keep a systematic record of your work. So that's very important. Meet frequently with your guide. You have to meet frequently. Usually what happens is for the first 1 month you will meet regularly. Maybe in the next 3 months you will meet once in a week. So after that, slowly you stop meeting your guide, and maybe after 1 year, 1.5 years, you don't appear in front of your guide. Maybe sometimes for 6 months, 1 year. It depends. Usually if you are doing a PhD, you come at the end. If your PhD is 5 years, maybe after completing the 4.5 years, you will be approaching your guide. Maybe on January 1st, maybe on his birthday, or maybe on festivals. You call him or you text him a message. So apart from it, usually many people don't meet their guide. So it's very much essential to meet your guide. So meeting notes you have to maintain. So whenever you go to your guide, take a note. Keep one notebook at least. Take a note of everything what your guide is telling, particularly what your guide is suggesting, etc. Keep a notes. And whenever you go and meet your guide, so take the notes with you. Because the questions will be based on that one. And moreover, so it is your PhD, but your guide will be having other works also. He may not be in a position to remember what he told you in the previous session, in the previous meeting. So keep a meeting notes. Always discuss and take comments of the supervisor. Supervisor comments are essential. Follow the supervisor comments. Inform your supervisor of any problems, technical problems or non-technical problems, sometimes personal problems also. Remember, your guide is your friend. So your relationship is not going to end in 3 years or 5 years. It is going to continue lifelong if you do the PhD. If you purchase PhD and if you obtain the PhD by other means, is a different issue. But your guide is a lifelong friend. Usually, in most of the circumstances, he will be well-wisher. Of course, there will be corrupt people also. It's a different issue. So discuss with him any problems you have. Even if you are unable to do something, go and discuss with him. Share. Take pride in and responsibility for your work. You are the main person who is responsible. take the total responsibility. Take the total responsibility. Take pride also. If you have achieved something, means it belongs to you. It doesn't belong just to your supervisor. Your supervisor contribution is only 20%. 80% it is your contribution. So take pride. Take pride. So the second important person is supervisor. Supervisors definitely have the right to expect a high level of commitment from the students. So usually supervisors nowadays expect good publications from the students. Good publications from the students. Of course, whether it is right to expect good standard publications like Elsevier, Springer, etc., SCI journals, etc. It's a debatable issue. It's a debatable issue. But your guide has the right. Your guide should make it clear that these are my expectations. You have to do like this. So he has every right. Of course, you have every right to accept or reject it at the beginning. At the beginning, you have every right to accept or reject, and then you can, if you are not comfortable, you can go and meet some other guide also. Meet some other person, make him as a supervisor. So communicate in the beginning. Also communicate frankly with your supervisor, would-be supervisor. Supervisor is student's best friend. So always, in most of the cases, inform the student of relevant literature. Supervisor is going to inform the student of relevant literature because he will be doing some kind of research work in that area. Even if he is not doing the research work, he has general knowledge about that area. He has general knowledge about how to do the research. But in most of the circumstances, you may not be having the research. You may not be having the knowledge about how to do the research. Definitely, he is having the knowledge of how to do the research. He may be a specialist in that field or not. It's a different issue. Even if he is not a specialist, he has the capability to quickly learn something and inform you and guide you. Discuss clearly the level of work expected. It should be clear. What should be the standard of the work? What should be the standard of the work? That you have to discuss with your guide. Your guide is also has to explicitly state that this is the requirement. This is the requirement of publications. This is the requirement of the work. This is the requirement of the work. These are the deadlines. You have to follow these deadlines, etc. All those things have to be discussed with your guide. Examiner do play an important role. In fact, crucial role. Though his contribution to your PhD work is less, maybe less than 10%, 5%, but still he plays a crucial role. Your success, 50% depends on you and 50% depends on the examiners and then these peer reviewers, etc. So what he's going to do is, whether it is a peer reviewer who evaluates your publications, journal papers you will be submitting, or your thesis, is the work relevant? Is the work relevant? It means whether the problem is relevant and the solution is relevant or not. You have to do the relevant work. And important one is whether your work is substantial and original. Substantial and original. Substantial means it's a PhD work, it's not a BTech work or MCA work or MTech work. So you have to do a lot of work, whether the work is substantial or not. And moreover, is it your own work or not? Original work. These are the two things that are very much essential in a PhD work or research. Substantial and original. Clarity of presentation should be there. So if clarity of presentation is not there, then the examiner may not be in a position to accept your publication or your research work. And standard of publications definitely is going to verify. In the case of thesis, standard of publications is going to verify. In the case of journal, paper, is going to verify your references. What are the references which you are using? What are the references? Whether you have done the original work or the early work, PNIDs work or not, whether standard work is being quoted or not, cited or not, that is going to verify. Standard of publications is also important. Usually people will go and check the standard of publications initially before going through your thesis. So in most of the circumstances, people don't usually go through your entire work, except these IIT people, etc. I don't know how they find the time actually, whether it is the IIT professors or the research scholars go through the work. They usually go through the entire work. They will find out the even simple silly spelling and grammar mistakes. They are going to inform you. They are going to inform you. So usually, if you get a report from 3 examiners, the length of the report which you get from the IIT people will be maybe 2-3 pages at least. 2-3 pages at least. So they are going to go through your publications basically. Apart from it, some people will go through your entire work. Your entire work. They are going to check each and everything, graphs, units, etc., etc. All those things they are going to check, and they are going to mainly check how your work is different and better than the existing work. Whether you have quoted the relevant work or not, and whether your work is different from that their work or not, whether you are adding something to the existing body of knowledge or not. So they are going to verify. So what we discussed in this session, persons involved. Who are the persons involved? Yourself, your supervisor, and then the examiner. All three are important. All three are important. So maybe as long as you do your work for the 4.5 years, it is you and your supervisor. The examiners come into picture at the end. Your thesis examiners come into picture at the end. In between, peer reviewers, editors of journals will come into picture, but they do play an important role. Though their contribution is less, they do play an important role in the success or failure of your work. So consider it, and based on it, you have to do the work. How to do the work, etc. We have already discussed it in some few sessions. We are going to discuss in other sessions also. But these are the 3 persons involved: yourself, your supervisor, examiner. Thank you. Go to the next presentation. It will be thesis format. Thesis format. What is the format of the thesis? Thank you.